What's going on, guys? We are now into week 16 of the NFL season. It's semis. Hope everyone's doing great. We're in the process here. Let's get the ball rolling. My co-host Brian isn't here, unfortunately. He is visiting family. Left me here by myself, so I get to talk all the shenanigans about how Christian Watson sucks and how he's not good at fantasy football. No, I'm just kidding. Now week 15's wrapped up. I'm sure a lot of us had a lot of great moments and not so great moments. If you faced Josh Allen or Jared Goff, you're really sad, or if you're like me who had Josh Allen, you're really happy. So if you guys have any questions, please comment away, let me know, and I'll try to answer them as quick as possible. I'm trying to pull up here into week 16. Fortunately, we have some pretty sad news for injuries. David Montgomery's done for the year. Really unfortunate. Jameer Gibbs owners are just probably jumping up and down for joy because that dude's going to take over that backfield, and it's just going to be his show and no one else's. I don't necessarily think their backup. I'm trying to think who is it? It's not Rodriguez. Let me see here. I don't think it's him, but not too sure. But yeah. Dan Campbell said that Craig Reynolds and Sion Viaki will have expanded roles behind Jameer Gibbs. I mean, if I'm going to pick one up, I guess I'd pick up Sion Viaki. That'd be my guy who I'd go to. Not too sure. I mean, Craig Reynolds has been there. He's not really exciting. Vaki's more of the guy who's the unknown factor of it. That's where I lean. Some other news. Titans are going to finally bench Will Levis. It's going to go to Mason Rudolph. So I don't necessarily think that's a horrible thing for Titans owners. For if you have Calvin Ridley, I think it's kind of actually more of an upgrade. I think Mason Rudolph kind of like a safe floor play for him. I don't expect anything to damage him. If you're going to start him, you're going to start him regardless of the situation you're in. Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley are kind of the only guys you really want to start from Titans anyways. Tajay Spears kind of, had that. I don't know what's going on with Tony Pollard. I guess Tajay Spears got the touchdown last week, so we just go from there. Sincere McCormick, though, is out for the season. That's a big blow for me because I picked him up in a lot of dynasty leagues and was starting him like crazy. I don't really want to use any Raiders backfield. I mean, I guess Amir Abdullah would be the only guy to kind of pick up. Another injury news we have is, Patrick Mahomes. He's got the high ankle sprain. He's going to try to do some work today, see how it goes. They do have a game on Saturday. Carson Wentz the backup, and I guess Hollywood Brown has a chance to play this week, so that's pretty interesting. I wouldn't want to go pick up Hollywood Brown and start him in the playoffs. I just think that's just such a gamble, and it's not a gamble I'm really trying to take as well. So that's just my 2 cents. Let me see here. What else we got? Dorian Thomas-Robinson will start for the Browns week 16, so that actually is pretty damaging, I would say. I don't think this helps Njoku or even Jerome Ford. I kind of hurts Jerry Jeudy too in the process. I'm not looking really ecstatic to kind of start him. There might be other pivot options. Other news too. I want to see the Geno news. See if I have it here. I'm not sure where he's at in regards to injury. I know that he was, injured on Sunday Night Football, which is really, really unfortunate. Let me see here. Don't see anything else here. Let me see. Yeah, just a bunch of Sincere McCormick news. Yeah. Mike McDonald says Seahawks are fortunate with Geno's knee injury. I'm optimistic he will get most of the snaps of the first team offense. So, I mean, I'm still going to start JSN because, honestly, JSN just looks like he's going to become the truth. I don't know for DK owners out there if that news really affects you. Dude's kind of just, falling off, and I think it's just kind of JSN's wide receiver room DK's kind of taking the backfield for it. So, trying to see some other news that we have here. If you guys have any questions, please comment in the chat and I'll answer them right away. Again, my co-host Brian, he is unfortunately gone. He's actually here in California with me, just about 7 hours north of me. Jerk didn't want to come and see me and say hi to me. Other news, I guess, Lions head coach Dan Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs. He's gotten better and better all season. Now he's our lead horse. He's got to be ready to roll. I mean, that's about to be the league winner right there. I was, thinking of guys. Oh, we have a question here. Big dad bod here, man. Dude, same here. Seriously thinking of starting Thielen over Kupp in my playoff league this week. Kupp's skunked me too the past 3 weeks. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Thielen is getting a very healthy work. And I think that's Puka's now team. I mean, his lines are always like 7.5 receptions, 8.5 receptions for Vegas. I'd honestly lean towards Thielen. I like Bryce Young's direction of where Carolina's going. I think they can now kind of focus in this draft to build around him and not worry about replacing him. And I think Thielen's going to have a nice healthy floor of like a wide receiver 20 to 24. And Kupp can win you. So it really just comes down to like I don't want to say projections, but more so like I would say like where are you at, and I guess where your matchup is. If you think the other guy's team is great, he's got a bunch of studs, I would lean towards Kupp. But if it's an even matchup, I kind of lean towards Thielen. Just I think it's a very safe floor. That's just where I'm at with that. So, but respect the dad bod. I am for sure on that team all day, every day. We got Sabria here saying hello. So hello to you too as well. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate. Waiver wire pickups, though. I mean, we are talking about walking on the wire here. Let's see. I mean, if Jerome Ford's there, you definitely want to go pick him up. He's obviously going to be the starter for Cleveland. That's where I'd lean towards. Sion Viaki is who else I'd pick up. Craig Reynolds. Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, he's gotten some, work with them. I mean, that's just kind of like a gamble, though. It's just more of like a hold. Pierre Strong, too, just because you just don't know if Jerome Ford goes down. Now it's just Pierre Strong's backfield. That's about it. I mean, Brenton Strange, though, has gotten serious work last week. 12 targets, 11 receptions, 73 yards. I don't know if he repeats it this week. I mean, it's worth gambling, though, because after like the top 4 or 5 guys, you're really just hoping for a crapshoot. So don't hate that pickup. I'm trying to see anybody else here on these waivers that just like stand out to me. Man, it's crazy seeing Travis Etienne as a waiver wire pickup potentially. I mean, it's a pretty competitive 12-man league, but obviously that's just the trending for sleepers. So that's always crazy to me. Man, let's see here. Let's go through some games here. Let's go back to Sunday, NFL Week 15. We have the Cowboys versus the Panthers. Man, I saw the Panthers being favored, and I did not really like that aspect of that game. I was just like, it's 1.5. Cowboys still have a better roster, like better players, I would say. So that's why I lean towards gambling with them. Stats wise, I mean, Cooper Rush had a nice day, man. 18 for 29, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rico Dowdle, man, 25 carries, 149 yards. And then, for those that did make the playoffs with CD, very fortunate for you guys. 9 receptions, 116 yards, and a touchdown. On the other side, Bryce Young, he struggled. It's still a semi-decent defense with Mike Zimmer coaching on Dallas. 19 for 28, 219 yards, touchdown, and two interceptions. I think he fumbled it twice, or to have a fumble. Chuba Hubbard probably kind of ruined your day, I would say, more so. 4 receptions, 17 yards, but 10 carries, 32 yards, and they're down playing catch up. You're probably not going to run the ball as much. But for the wide receiver side, for Carolina, Coker, 4 receptions, 110 yards. I mean, one was, I think, like a 70-yard touchdown. So take away from that. But obviously, Thielen's still the guy. He still leads the team in targets, 5 receptions, 51 yards. So MA football guy, that's 7 targets, 51 yards, and 5 receptions. I think you take that all day. Tight end wise, I mean, nothing from this game I'm looking at that was, spectacular. Jake Ferguson, 2 receptions for 23 yards. Tommy Tremble and Jerome Sanders, I don't want to start any of those guys. So that game was kind of not a wash, but it was just, Dallas, if you had CD, you're really ecstatic. Same with Rico. To the Chiefs and Browns game, I did watch a good amount of this game. My wife's unfortunately, a big Travis Kelce fan, so have to sit there and watch her cheer for her imaginary husband. That's not me. Patrick Mahomes, he actually had a pretty decent day before he got injured. 19 for 38, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 2 carries for 14 yards. Really sucks for the injury, but this always tends to happen with him. He always seems to get injured right around this time and then just goes off and, wins the Super Bowl. So maybe this is like a good luck charm for him. Obviously, I only kid, but, it's crazy to see how that man always gets injured and he just still wins Super Bowls. On the running back side for them, though, Kareem Hunt led. He had the better work. 13 carries, 45 yards. Pacheco, 13 carries, 32 yards. Man, I was an idiot. I traded away Pacheco for Rico Dowdle, and I just thought, when he comes back, he'll be great. And I'm really regretting that trade now. That's a real barn burner killer for me. And then the wide receiver room. Xavier Worthy with 11 targets. I maybe he might be a league winner. I don't want to gamble on that though, because you just don't know with Mahomes if he's going to be injured, if he's going to come back. So I would stay away from that personally. Man, that's just like DeAndre Hopkins though, 5 receptions, 36 yards. That's not anything great. He had a big catch. It got called back though. Would have been, helped obviously his stat line. Juju, 1 reception, 7 yards and a touchdown. You're not starting him. And then Noah Gray, I want to say he's probably their red zone threat, and it's not Travis Kelce. 2 receptions, 21 yards and a touchdown. Speaking of Kelce, 4 receptions, 27 yards. He's been kind of he's been the dud there for him, man. I don't know what you do. I think he definitely moves him down on the totem pole for next year. I don't know if I'd have him in my top 5, top 6 even. Definitely might be more so towards the top 12 play for me. On Cleveland's side, though, Jameis Winston struggled, man. 3 picks. It just wasn't his day, and they benched him for Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which, I'm not a really big fan of Dorian Thompson-Robinson for fantasy purposes, because obviously, Jerry Jeudy's been a savior for you guys, and he's been a savior for me. 11 receptions, 108 yards. That's crazy. I'm stoked on that. I just don't see that happening with Dorian Thompson-Robinson when he's more of a scrambler by trade. That's more of his niche. So, but you are going to probably still start Jerry Jeudy. I don't know what other options you have, and if you do have any questions, please ask away, and I'll try to answer them. But Jerome Ford, man, for all those that did draft him and you held on to him, this is the guy that's going to take over the backfield. 7 carries, 84 yards and a touchdown. Kind of a skewed. I think one was a big run, and then 2 receptions, 20 yards. This guy can kind of do it all in the backfield, so pretty confident with him starting him regardless. Elijah Moore just kind of takes the back seat here. You're not going to even think about starting him, unfortunately. Njoku, I think he was trending towards maybe playing, but he's definitely going to be on my sit-em. Dorian Thompson-Robinson doesn't really, move the needle for me, unfortunately. So I stay away from that. On to the Miami and Houston game. Man, I don't know what to do with Tua anymore, in a sense of I think he's a top 32 quarterback, but I don't know if he is the solution in Miami, because like there was a stat where it shows he plays great against bad teams, but once he plays a decent team, he just disappears. And today he disappeared. 29 for 40, 186 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks. And the picks were bad. The picks were just genuinely bad. He threw to Derek Stingley, I think, twice. I think Derek Stingley got 2 interceptions on Sunday. I mean, at some point, he's got your number. Just avoid it. Like, I know Waddle left early. They started to not feature Devon Achane a little bit. I mean, Devon Achane had 12 carries for 41 yards, which is great, but 7 receptions, 35 yards. Great day for full point PPR. Raheem Mostert got some good work, but Jalen Wright, I don't even know if I want to roster him. This backfield is just weird. It's just Devon Achane for me, really. And then other receivers, I mean, I look at the stat line. It's crazy to see Malik Washington 5 for 52 over Tyreek Hill for 2 for 36. Like, I think the name Tyreek Hill, you hear it and you're like, oh, I got to start him. But I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know if that's the case. Like, I know the Dolphins still have a chance, but it's like a very, very slim chance. So they technically have, they can start everybody, and they're not, Tua is talking about, no one's thinking about Cancun, but it's like, brother, man, I think everyone's thinking about Cancun, that team, Miami. But Jonnu Smith is going to be a league winner for a lot of people. I mean, 9 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown, 24 points for fantasy purposes. That's crazy. I would have never guessed that. You told me the year Jonnu Smith will be a top 5 tight end, I would have said you're on crack. But here he is, top 5. I think he's currently, what is he? I'm trying to find it here. Game log, tight end 3? Crazy. Would have never guessed that. And then on the Texans side, like I said before, Stroud is going to be a very safe QB2 floor, and that's what he is. I don't know if it's the play calling for them. I know Slovic, who's their offense coordinator, was actually sought out for a job, and now he's the problem. Like, Houston fans hate him. Houston fans can't stand him. I watched a bit of the game too. I don't know what the play calling is. I know he really wants to establish the run with Joe Mixon, and obviously Joe Mixon's a great back. I don't know what that team does going forward in the future. But CJ Stroud, 18 for 26, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had a couple carries. I know they kneeled the ball at the end because they had the pick, but that's just not where I'm looking for. Joe Mixon, very meh day. I mean, 12 carries, 23 yards. His bread and butter came in the receiving work with 5 for 33. Nico Collins, if you take away the 2 touchdowns, he's 4 for 17, but he had 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, you take what you get. I just don't know what to do with this team in the sense of that. You're still going to start Nico for obvious reasons. I'm not going to bench him. Tank Dell, 2 receptions, 26 yards. This whole Texans team is very, very gross. I don't see how they make noise in the playoffs. Like, I know if they had a face right now, it'd be the Steelers, and I just think the Steelers just smother them if that's the case. Like, or even the Ravens. Like, I mean, really, those 2 teams are going to go back and forth. So, like, they're going to face the Ravens at home or the Steelers at home, and I don't see Stroud and this team doing very well. So I'm not looking forward to starting Stroud, and I told you guys in this podcast that he was probably my do not draft list. I know I'm a Colts fan, so you can sit there and say, but you're biased. It's like, I'm not really biased though. I think Stroud's a great quarterback. I think but there's a difference between being a good quarterback and a good fantasy quarterback, and he's just a good quarterback, but not a good fantasy quarterback. So that's that game in a nutshell. On to an exciting game. It was the Jets and Jaguars. Jets 32, Jags 25. Man, that was a nail biter of a game. I couldn't believe I even said that coming out of my mouth. Aaron Rodgers had a day though. I don't think anybody started him. 16 for 30, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 carries for 45 yards. They don't care. Teams don't care for tanking, so Jets fans, I'm sorry. He is going to try to win games. He's going to try to win the last 3 games and, be potentially 7-10, which just obviously ruins all your stock, draft stock capital. But they don't care. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers in the first half, I think he was only like 3 for 8 for like 60, 56 yards or something crazy like that. Brees Hall kind of got saved at the end. They kind of let the touchdown in because they wanted to get back in the game. The Jags, I'm for the Jags. 9 carries, 30 yards, and a touchdown. That's kind of really scary. I don't know if I want to, you're going to have to start Brees Hall because at the point you just don't know if you have the depth for it. But really the talk of the town is Devontae Adams, man. 9 catches, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. That's crazy. For anybody who faced Devontae Adams, if you won, I'd love to hear it because that's crazy. Kudos to you for getting past that demon of a game he had. And I just think he's going to continue to roll. I think if there's someone that I'm afraid to look at, Devontae Adams is one of them. Garrett Wilson he saved you with the touchdown, but 356 and a touchdown. You started him. It's great. Al Lazard had a walk-in touchdown, 4 receptions, 0 catches, but he literally had a walk-in one and he dropped it. And of course, Aaron Rodgers showing his best impersonation of being very ecstatic of you being a teammate for him. On the other side, though, Mac Jones, 24 points. I can't believe I'm saying that. 31 for 46, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 4 carries for 29 yards, and that dude acted like he was the greatest thing ever when he had, I think, one of the carries. He was just sitting there just, gloating and bragging. He's just like, he is the worst quarterback ever. He just screams, daddy's got money kind of mentality. I just can't stand him. Travis Etienne, though, 14 carries, 65 yards, 4 catches for 20. This backfield is really, really gross. I'm going to lean towards somebody. It is Etienne. Tank Bigsby, 11 carries, which is still a healthy amount of work, just nothing going for it, for 42 yards. But Brian Thomas Jr., that dude will be a top 10 wide receiver next year for fantasy rankings. I don't know how you don't put him there. 10 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he was close to getting a third one. Dude's nuts. If he was for sure, he's definitely going to be my pick for fantasy steal of the year. You got him in like the 9th, 10th round. For some leagues, waiver wire pick, but he's definitely someone that I love. Unfortunately, he's on the Jags, so it sucks. I gotta, cheer for him, and unfortunately, he's just on the Devils team, in my opinion. But no one else behind him. Parker Washington, 3 catches, 54 yards, nothing crazy. I have a question here from Lonely Stoner 401. PPR first seed semis. Which team you like more? My team: Hurts, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase. So that's McLaurin, B-Rob, Spears, Kraft. Team 2: Darnold, Bijan, Cook, Lamb, Harrison, Brian Thomas Jr., Mark Andrews. Okay, so let's just go by quarterbacks here. Do I like Jalen Hurts or do I like Sam Darnold? I'll give the nod towards Jalen Hurts. Let's go wide receivers here. AJ Brown compared to Lamb, it's kind of a wash. AJ Brown being, asking for more, touches. I might give it a Lamb there, but Jamar takes it over for Harrison. Brian Thomas Jr., McLaurin. I'm a big BTJ guy. I just was, gloating about him, so I'll go there. And then Bijan, Cook, Mark Andrews. I just think with Jamar Chase is kind of the difference maker in all of this. Like, I think everyone else is kind of like, Sam Darnold's great. He's kind of capped, though. I think he's having a great season, but I'd rather have Hurts, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, McLaurin. McLaurin's on a tear. Kraft is, I think he's just good. Mark Andrews obviously becoming now the lead for the Ravens in all touchdown time. I think that was a gimme for a touchdown. I'd say team 1, but they're pretty even though. I don't have like a definite like, oh yeah, team 1 for sure over team 2. But I'd lean towards team 1 though. I think so if you have team 1, kudos to you. I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt you on that comment there. So going back to this Jags game, Brenton Strange, yeah, I'm probably going to pick him up, though. He's probably someone I want to start if you just been, pandering to tight ends on waiver wires and just kind of hoping for the best matchup. I lean towards Brenton Strange to pick him up and start him next week. Next game was the Commanders and Saints, and man, let me tell you, I was so worked up for this game because I had Commanders in all my parlays. My wife is sitting there watching me be a lunatic, freaking out, telling him what to do. Obviously, being a couch potato coach, crazy game. I knew the Saints were going to go for it. I even told my wife they're going to go for 2. They have nothing to play for. The Commanders barely pulled it out. Kudos to them. Jaden Daniels, though, he, again, talk about a league winner. Dude was probably taken in, I would say, most non-competitive leagues like QB 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. Maybe later on. More of my competitor leagues, he was going as like QB 8 is probably like the bare minimum. But still, QB 8, and this dude's been killing it. Dude was 25 for 31, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 11 carries for 66 yards, 30 points in the day. It's crazy. I mean, dude's going to be a top 5 quarterback next year. I mean, probably top 4. Brian Robinson, I was expecting a really, really big day from him. Just didn't happen. It still had a safe day. 14 points, 21 carries, 65 yards with 3 receptions for 22 yards. Austin Eckler, I just thought the Saints having a terrible run defense. I thought this dude was just going to go to town. Really wasn't the case, unfortunately. But Terry McLaurin, man, 7 catches, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if you did face Terry, probably one of those, just hold the L and call it a day, and better luck next year for fantasy. Terry McLaurin, he finally has a quarterback. So I think Terry's going to get a boost next year in the rankings. He'll probably be a fringe wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1, like top 15 area. I have to do my rankings next year, but I'm stoked to see where he's at. On the Saints side, Alvin Kamara, 5 carries, 12 yards, again, 4 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown. I think he threw one, I think, right? To Marquette. No, maybe he got called back. I don't know, but it was impressive, though. Alvin Kamara, again, you can still start him. He is their offense. They're just going to lean on him. He's going to get a bunch of dump offs. I think they'll probably roll a Rattler again because Jake Hayner just looked awful. Those pictures before the season and him playing like that, yeah, it's just not a good look. So, the Saints, Alvin Kamara is the only guy I like going forward. And so if you have him, you can start him comfortably. It's okay. He's still going to get the work. On to the other game, morning game, Baltimore Ravens versus the New York Giants. The spread was like 17 points, and I still bet the Ravens. I just said there's just no way the Giants are even competitive. And that's what it was, man. If you face Lamar Jackson, I'm really sorry, guys. That's 21 for 25, so only 4 incompletions. So he had more touchdowns than incompletions, which that's always astounding to me. 290 yards, 5 touchdowns, 6 carries for 65 yards, which totaled to 48 points. The most impressive stat out of all this, I had Derrick Henry in a lot of anytime touchdowns. I was just like, oh, yeah, he's going to find the end zone. It was Justice Hill who found the end zone before him, unfortunately. Derrick Henry probably hurt you, unfortunately. 14 carries, 67 yards. I expect it to be better for next week, a more competitive game. Rashad Bateman, though, I'm going to maybe pick him up, but I'm not going to start him. And there's just no way. Like, if you did, 3 catches, and out of the 3, there are 2 touchdowns for 80 yards. That's just not. There's no way you can keep up with that. Zay Flowers, 6 receptions, 53 yards. Sucks. It's like a lower end higher end wide receiver 3, lower end wide receiver 2 day. You're not expecting most out of him. Mark Andrews, 2 catches, 24 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, he became the all-time leading Ravens, touchdown for them. So kudos to him. This Giants team, though, man, Giants fans, you're really hoping for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And if I had to pick one, it's going to be Cam Ward. I just think he's more of a better pocket passer to me. And I think him and Malik Neighbors would be a very good pairing. The more surprising thing out of all of this is just, obviously, Tyrone Tracy laid you an egg. I mean, 10 carries, 31 yards, 1 reception, 4 yards. I don't know if I really want to start anybody on this Giants team besides Malik Neighbors. He's clearly talented beyond belief. 10 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, Malik Neighbors is the only one I really want to start. I just like I love Tyrone Tracy. I think he's going to take over that backfield next year. I think he'll be the lead back for sure. He's already shown that he can do that. Devin Singletary, of course, being the vulture and taking away the touchdown from him sucks. But yeah, defenses I want to face the Giants. They just aren't good. This team's just clearly struggling. I don't know if they're going to fire Dable. I don't think they should. I think he's been given, an unfair chance with Daniel Jones, the starting quarterback, letting go Saquon. This team's rough. I'm really sorry, Giants fans. I don't want to rain on your parade out there too. Wandale, though, 4 receptions, 38 yards. Yeah, it's just not worth starting. It's just, maybe hold if Malik gets hurt, but really then it's like Darius Slayton's one I want to hold. Yeah, not much to say from this game. It was Ravens all the way. There was never a time watching that game where you're like, oh, the Giants made no. It was the Ravens all day long. Onto a more of a high shootout game, which it really shouldn't have been. And Joe Burrow, of course, everyone's all eyes on him, and everyone can read his lips. You can go over to John Boy. It was a pretty funny video. The dude just speaking of frustration, which I completely agree. Joe Burrow, if the record wasn't what it is for Cincinnati, if it was kind of flipped, he'd definitely be in MVP talks. Dude's having a hell of a year. 26 for 37, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. I know he fumbled it too, but still put up 22 points. That's absurd. You're going to start him. Chase Brown had himself a day, though. 25 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown, while also having a receiving touchdown for 3 catches and 16 yards. T. Higgins outscoring Jamar Chase is funny to me. I mean, only by like a point, but 9 catches, 94 yards for Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins with 5 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Gesicki, 3 catches, 37 yards. He's more of that lower end, like fringe tight end 1, tight end 2. But yeah, Joe Burrow, he was kind of a guy I was really scared of drafting at the beginning of the year, but this is his ceiling. This is like what you're seeing from him right now is what his ceiling is. Like, he can definitely win you games. He definitely, once you give him a chance, he's got a good offense. I think Chase Brown definitely takes over this backfield, even when Zach Moss gets back. I think Zach Moss, being a 2-year, $8 million deal, $4 million next year, I think you kind of keep him. But I think this is Chase Brown's backfield. Dude's so talented. I think Zach Taylor gets a can, so I don't know who's going to take over for this team. Like, honestly, Ben Johnson has the litter of the pick of where he wants to go. And if I'm Ben Johnson, I might really want to consider the Bengals. Like, I just think when you look at that roster compared to Chicago, I get it. Chicago has, it's got DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze. But the Bengals just, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, like, I think there's something more you can build off of with that compared to Chicago. And I don't know. I think it's a very interesting dilemma to have for himself. I know he'll be a head coach next year. Titans, Will Levis did Will Levis things. 8 for 12, 89 yards, and 3 interceptions. Got benched, I think, in the third quarter. I don't know if it was because his ex-girlfriend was there. But Mason Rudolph came in and actually played very well. Granted, it was them playing catch-up, but 21 for 26, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Mason Rudolph is going to be fine for the receivers there, like Calvin Ridley, 3 for 41. I think he'll get maybe a boost, I would say, towards having Mason Rudolph playing. None of the receivers were really worth a damn, to be honest with you, besides Calvin. Tajay Spears had himself a day, though. 4 carries for 5 yards and a touchdown. Wow. But 6 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown is impressive. I don't know if that's going to be repeated for next week. I would lean towards still starting Pollard and just owning Spears and see what happens. But Chigakonkwo, 8 for 59. I know he had a good game against I think it was the Texans last week or the week before. Or 2 weeks ago. You can see the touchdown. I just he's not someone I want to hold. So I just would rather kind of wait and see there. Yeah, but this game was it was fun for scoring, for fantasy. Everyone, high scoring games always fun. On to the Patriots and Cardinals. Patriots fans are just hoping Gerard Mayo gets fired, and obviously their offensive coordinator dude's awful. Drake May is going to be very interesting for next year. Dude's a really good quarterback. 19 for 23, 202 yards, a touchdown, a pick, which the pick wasn't his fault. Like when it hits your player's hands and it bounces off and it goes to the other team, I really think that should be a fumble more than anything compared to being an interception, because you threw it to the person, hits their hands, and they just don't catch it. I just don't see that being punished for you. Drake May is going to be very interesting for next year. He's going to be one of those guys where I will probably like to own as a sneaky, maybe QB, fringe QB1, QB2. You get him some weapons. T. Higgins on the market. He's going to be a hot commodity. Ramondre, 13 carries, 69 yards, and a reception for 16 yards. Again, he's going to be an RB2. That's what he is. That's what he's always going to be. So you can start him week in, week out. Out of the wide receivers, there's just no one I really want to start. I know Demario Douglas got a touchdown, but it was 3 for 11. Doesn't really scream please start me. Kendrick Bourne, 3 for 44. Again, none of these guys, he doesn't have a difference maker. He's very much lacking an X factor, and the Patriots, organization should hopefully see that and say, yes, they need to get him an X factor. They need to make that move. Teams, who are smart, the Eagles trading for AJ Brown, guys, and the Bills going and getting, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, teams that have that that rookie quarterback or on that rookie deal need to go get their guy a difference maker. I will pound the table all day, every day. You need to do something for him. Chicago, they got DJ Moore out of the process, and DJ Moore is, he's a very good wide receiver. So, Hunter Henry, 4 catches, 25 yards. He's going to be a very safe tight end play. He's not going to be exciting. He might get a touchdown. He might not, but he'll get some work. So, again, guys, if you have any questions in the chat, please let me know. I'll try to answer them. Onto the Cardinals side, though, Kyler Murray has been bad. I don't know what's going on. 23 for 30, 224 yards is great. It's just not happening in the end zone. The end zone, the vulture is James Conner. James Conner, 16 carries, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns with 5 receptions and 28 yards. Dude's been impressive. He was on my do not draft list. I was like, he's going to miss a couple games. It's going to be really frustrating to own. Nope. Dude's been an absolute stud. Dude's going to, again, you probably drafted him in the, 5th, 6th round, possibly. And again, a league winner for you. So kudos to all the James Conner owners out there. I'm jealous. Should have definitely had him more than goddamn Rashad White. Craig Dortch having more points than Marvin Harrison Jr., though, is a problem. I don't know what the issue is with Marvin Harrison Jr. I know Christian Gonzalez was guarding him, and Christian Gonzalez is a very, very good quarterback. I really thought Marvin Harrison would be the end-all, be-all. I definitely didn't like where his draft capital was, but I definitely liked him as a player. I was like, he's super polished. He's going to, be just a very safe wide receiver too, and he's not even that. I don't want to start Marvin Harrison Jr. anymore. There's nothing. He doesn't show me anything. It's that there's promises there, and I don't know what's going on, because he was so talented at Ohio State. I was just like, yeah, this is a surefire, great pick. I'm not sure what to do with Marvin Harrison Jr. If you're gonna ask me, it'd be benching him. I just think he has better options. And then Trey McBride, dude, he was the tight end one to own. Obviously Brock Bowers, but out of the 5, us, fantasy experts were sitting there telling you need to draft a top 5 tight end. It was just Trey McBride. It was purely Trey McBride. 9 catches, 87 yards. Hell of a day for him. So that's where I'm at with the Cardinals. It's really just Trey McBride and James Conner for the rest of the year fantasy playoffs, because Kyler ain't cutting it. And now on to the game that I really don't want to talk about. It's the Colts 13, Broncos 31. This game sucked. I mean, once I saw Jonathan Taylor fumble the ball right before cross the end zone, I was like, the Broncos are going to win. It was just so frustrating. Anthony Richardson, there's blame for him. I will say, I mean, sub 50 completion percentage, but like, man, it's so frustrating watching it hit our guys in the hands and them dropping it. It's just so frustrating because this dude is talented. This dude, I mean, if they're going to this draft class, if you had to put him up against Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders, Anthony Richardson's more exciting. There's more of a ceiling for him. I don't know what this organization does. I think they fired Chris Ballard and maybe Shane Steichen too in the process. But moving on towards fantasy, I mean, 14 points, still better than Kyler Murray, still better than some of the other guys. Probably not going to want to start him next week. Jonathan Taylor, 22 carries, 170 yards. Man, I mean, great. He had a touchdown. But of course not. You're going to fumble it right before you cross the damn end zone. Out of this wide receiver group, I think Josh Downs is still the most talented of the bunch, but I don't want to start anybody. This team just needs to figure it out. Michael Pittman with 6 catches and 58 yards, and of course he fumbles it because he doesn't know how to hold on to the ball either. On to the Broncos side, though, Bo Nix had a horrible day and got bailed out by an incompetent Colts offense. But he still put up 21 points, 20 for 33, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 8 carries for 23 yards. The running back room, though, like I'll be honest with you, there's no one I want to own. I don't know what happened to Javonte Williams. The dude is just falling off a cliff and falling hard. It's crazy. 6 carries for 15 yards, and I really thought the world of Javonte. I was like, oh, this dude's going to be a surefire, top pick for the running backs. I thought he'd be a sneaky play, but no, he dude's falling off. It'll be very interesting to see what Denver does because Sean Payton likes to rely on a running back. He definitely does like to have a solid run game, and he doesn't have that right now. So it's really falling on Bo Nix's shoulders. And as you can see, Bo Nix he's a rookie. He's not he's doing what rookies do. He's making mistakes. He's going to learn. But I think there'll be a team that could sneaky be in on Ashton Genty in this draft class. I think they'll have a too high of a pick, but that's about it. So it'll be very interesting to see where he goes in their draft class. But again, Cortland Sutton saved you at the end with that touchdown, 3 for 32 and a touchdown. Besides him, there's no one else really on a roster on this Broncos team. It's really just Sutton. Troutman got a touchdown too, but again, it's 2 for 20. Take away the touchdown is not exciting. He only had 2 targets and he caught both of them. So kudos to Denver going to the playoffs. I know you guys had a big drought, so that's all I got to say. It just really sucks being a Colts fan at this very moment. On to the most exciting game of the afternoon slate. Bills 48, Lions 42. Like I said in the beginning of this stream, if you face Josh Allen again, I mean, there's a possibility you could have faced him again. Probably lost. This dude is just doing everything he can to win MVP. Him and Lamar are neck and neck. It's getting really, really close down to the last couple games to see who takes it away. But 23 for 34, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, Josh Allen's going to be one of those guys where you're looking at and you're in the playoffs, you're facing the semis or even the finals. You're just like, do not want to face you. But that's what it is. James Cook, though, man, welcome back. It's been a little struggling for him. Me and Brian talked about it, but you were still going to start him, and glad you did because 14 carries, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You're very excited. I mean, this whole team is just on an offensive tear purely because of Josh Allen. He is the X factor. He is the difference maker. Ty Johnson, 2 carries, 9 yards, with 5 receptions for 114 yards. Ray Davis, 7 carries, 15 yards, 2 receptions, 14 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this whole backfield is in double digits. But again, James Cook's the only one I really want to start. Ty Johnson's the one I would, I guess, flex just because of the upside for receiving. And Ray Davis is someone I want to hold just in case James Cook gets hurt. But again, Khalil Shakir, 6 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. I think he had I think he ran it in too. I'm not sure. Keon Coleman had 1 catch for 64 yards. It was kind of a blown play with Josh Allen rolling out and him being wide open down there. And then Amari Cooper with 0 points. Amari Cooper is a really rough hold here. I have a question here. Caesar, what's up, man? Hey, man, in the semis in a PPR league, choose one wide receiver, one running back, and a flex. Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Isaac Guerrero, McConkey, or Devontae. Let me see here. So if I had to pick out of the wide receivers, I'm definitely gonna probably pick Devontae just because him and Aaron Rodgers seem to have it figured out. So that's where I'm leaning towards for even a flex or a wide receiver. And then the other one, I want to say Ladd too. I just think I think Ladd's just a very safe, but he's also on Thursday. So you have to be cautious of that. I know my rule is win it out, Thursday out, but Ladd is the only receiver for the Chargers. Really, it's coming down to Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, or Isaac Guerrero. So let's go through the matchups here. So Jonathan Taylor faces the Titans. I mean, pretty decent run defense. I think they want to make up for the touchdown they dropped, but I'm not so sure. Buffalo face the Patriots, divisional game. And then Isaac Guerrero faces the Dolphins. Man. I'd probably say James Cook. So I'd go James Cook, McConkey, and Devontae. That would be my three I'd want to start. I think I like all their matchups. Like Devontae is doing great things with him and Aaron Rodgers. Ladd McConkey is the only option in the Chargers. I mean, he's gonna have a nice safe floor, I feel like, and Devontae is just. I mean, after that game, it's gonna be really hard to sit there and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna bench Devontae for for Guerrero or Jonathan Taylor." But yeah, I like James Cook as well. I think James Cook, Ladd McConkey, and Devontae are the guys I would definitely go for. So those are my options, Caesar. Hopefully that helps. And then going back to this Bills and Lions game, hell of a game. Dalton Kincaid came back, 7 targets, again, healthy targets. Obviously he's not been a top 5 tight end like I thought he would be. 4 catches of 53 yards. You take it. You're really excited for a comeback game. On to the Lions side. Man, Jared Goff, I think he was the first quarterback to have over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and lose. I mean, Jared Goff's on a tear, man. I mean, crazy. I mean, you're still going to start him because his ceiling and floor are going to meet. And hold on, Caesar, thank you, liked and sub, appreciate it, brother. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them as quick as possible. But yeah, Lions, unfortunately, I'm really sorry for you guys, man. You guys have just been riddled with injuries on the defensive side, and Dave Montgomery is going to be done for the year. So, for all the Montgomery owners, I'm really sorry. But for Jahmyr Gibbs owners, welcome to the moon. You guys are jumping because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last time Montgomery missed, Jahmyr Gibbs' stat line was absurd. It was like he for sure had over 100 yards each game, touchdowns. Once he left, just 8 carries, 31 yards and a touchdown, 5 receptions, 83 yards and a touchdown. I think that's where the work's going to come in for him is in the receiving game, because obviously Gibbs is a great receiving back. Craig Reynolds and I already talked about at the beginning, Sion Vaki. Sion Vaki is probably the one I'd want to try to go for. We've seen Craig Reynolds play. It's not anything special. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, 14 catches, 193 yards and a touchdown. Hell of a day for him. Tim Patrick, 4 catches, 30 yards and a touchdown. And then Jameson Williams, someone I said you can probably flex. He saved you again with a touchdown with 3 catches, 37 yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporta, this is the vintage Sam Laporta we saw last year. 7 catches, 111 yards. Hell of a day for him. So for all those that kind of, if you made the playoffs with him, kudos to you. So hopefully you won your matchup, because that's a vintage game. What I want to talk about this game, though, is Dan Campbell with the very interesting onside kick with, I think, 12 minutes left, down by 10. I know you're not stopping Josh Allen. Your defense hasn't done it, but I just don't think that's the right time to do an onside kick. I thought that was kind of a boneheaded mistake, so to speak. I wouldn't say it cost them the game either, because obviously Josh Allen was doing, Josh Allen things. It's just one of those things where like his gambles can sometimes backfire, and that was one of them. So that's it for that game. Steelers and Eagles played. Eagles 27, Steelers 13. This Steelers team very much lacks a wide receiver too, besides George Pickens. I mean, George Pickens is that wide receiver, group, and they struggle without him. It's very obvious. Russell Wilson, 14 for 128 yards, hit a touchdown, 4 carries for 13 yards, but this team in offense just struggles. They need an X factor, and George Pickens is that. I've been saying that on the show. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Brian gives me, jokingly, but I think when you see him not being on this team and not playing, it clearly shows how much they miss him. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, all just terrible games. 6 carries, 14 yards for Najee Harris. 4 carries, 12 yards for Jalen Warren. Again, you better hope George Pickens comes back, because when he's in the game, he helps them move the ball. Calvin Austin led this team with 5 catches, 65 yards. And Pat Freiermuth, again, if you started him, it's great. 3 catches, 22 yards, and a touchdown. He was their best receiving player for them. On the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, hell of a game. 25 for 32, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 15 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. So great game for Jalen. Saquon didn't get the 100-yard mark. He got 19 carries, 65 yards. Steelers defense is good at the end of the day. Definitely kind of hold him in. I know he went to the Blue Medical tent for a little bit, but still, unfortunate day for Saquon. 11 points is, it's okay. It's just not Saquon numbers of what you're used to. And then the shows are Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. Devonta Smith with 11 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, and AJ Brown with 8 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown. That's more of the vintage of what we're used to seeing with both those guys. Like when they were top 10, I think it was last year. That's like typically what we saw. So, and then out of the tight end room, it's no one else to own. But this Eagles team, they're neck and neck now with the Lions for the number 1 seed. So neither team can afford to lose. So very interesting going down the stretch. And then the final afternoon game, Bucks 40, Chargers 17. We'll start with the Bucks side before I go to the Chargers side. Baker, hell of a game. 22 for 27, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 carries for 25 and a pick. I was a little nervous for Bucky Irving because, you're always waiting to see, is he going to start? Is he not? We're not sure. But came in, 15 carries, 117 yards, and 2 catches for -4 yards. If you started Rachaad White, still a good day. 15 carries, 64 yards, 2 catches for 17 and a touchdown, which saved him. But this is the Mike Evans game. 9 catches, 159 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This is like vintage Mike Evans. Is crazy. Doing it for over a decade and still just unstoppable. Super jealous to have a player like that. I mean, growing up as Colts fans, I had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. This guy's for sure first ballot Hall of Famer. Crazy what he's doing. And he's showing no signs of slowing down. Mike Evans will be very interesting next year to see where he goes. But Jalen McLaurin, man, this is the back-to-back games for him. 5 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. I was, hesitant on wanting to even start him, but I mean, 7 targets last week, 6 targets this week, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. Jalen McLaurin, I might consider flexing him, man. He's kind of even into K-Dot starting. 2 catches for 24 yards for K-Dot, which kind of sucks. But yeah, McMillan is, if he's not rostered, definitely go pick him up because he might be interesting for the rest of these playoffs. And then on to the Chargers side, I said this before. I think Joe Alt was a great pick. I think he's going to be you guys' left tackle or right tackle for years to come. I'm sorry, guys. I have a question here from Jonathan Santiago. PPR start 3 between Terry McLaurin, Ladd McConkey, Juwan Jennings, Keenan Allen, and Calvin Ridley. All right, well, right off the rip, it's Terry and Ladd. So now it's between Juwan Jennings, Keenan Allen, and Calvin Ridley. San Francisco, let me see. San Francisco plays, give me a second here. They play the Dolphins. Dolphins have been really good against wide receivers. Chicago plays. Let me go here. They play the Lions, which the one thing you can do is pass on them. And I think he had a pretty good game against them last week. And then Calvin Ridley. So really, it's between Juwan Jennings and Keenan Allen. Man, I'll say Juwan. I think Juwan's been great. So I go Terry, Ladd, and Juwan Jennings. And then I'm in between Juwan and Keenan, but I'd lean towards Juwan. But yeah, Terry and Ladd for sure. I think Terry's been great. Ladd's been great. And so I'd swear I lean towards. I'd definitely say it's between, yeah. So Terry, Ladd, and Jennings are the guys I want to start. So hopefully it helps you out there, Jonathan. But back to this Chargers, like I said, I think Joel's great. I think Joel is going to be a Pro Bowler, all pro type of tackle. But man, it'd be really nice if this team had Ladd and Malik Neighbors. Like, this team very much lacks that from that wide receiver front. Ladd, 5 catches, 58 yards and a touchdown. Huge, 545 and a touchdown. So if you started him, you're saved. But this running back room is gross. This running back room is so gross. Feel the same, but Ladd and Terry matchups scare me. Yeah, I mean, let's see here. The Chargers face the Broncos, which, I mean, I get it. Broncos, Patrick Surtain, I think he's going to play. I still start him, though, just because he is their only option. Justin Herbert is a very good quarterback. And the Commanders face the Eagles. And he didn't have a good game. Quinyon Mitchell locked him up. You are correct. I still say start him, man. I think it's a divisional game. Anything can happen. I still go with my gut with Ladd, Terry, and Juwan. Because Keenan, I mean, it sounds great. And then Calvin Ridley against the Colts, it's Mason Rudolph. I think Calvin Ridley's got more of a safe floor. I just think the upside more is for Ladd and Terry. So that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, this running back game, I thought Gus Edwards would be like a safe RB2, always getting all these carries, but 8 carries for 23 yards is gross. Very, very gross. They missed J.K. Dobbins, very much so. Again, Chargers will be an interesting team where I see where they go in this running back draft class. We'll be going after Juwan or Alshon Jeanty, sorry. But yeah, on to the Sunday Night Football game. Packers 30, Seahawks 13. Very scary for Geno Smith. It's funny because I know for sure Sam Howell came in the game, but there's no stat line for him, which means I don't think he got a completion, which is very, very scary. So I know Geno's going to play next week. Zach Charbonnet has been filling in very nicely for Kenneth Walker. 8 carries, 54 yards and a touchdown with reception and 12 yards, so saved you on that touchdown. But JSN, man, Jackson Smith-Njigba is the guy. 10 catches, 83 yards. DK is someone you probably have to consider benching. 3 catches, 20 yards is not exciting at all. Yeah, so it's really, Seahawks in the thick of it, though. They need to make the playoffs because the Rams are breathing down their neck. On to the Packers side, Jordan Love, again, great game, 20 for 27, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Josh Jacobs, dude is just a vulture for the touchdown. 26 carries, 94 yards and a touchdown, 4 catches, 42 yards. Romeo Dobbs, 3 catches, 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Reed finally put up points. He had 5 catches, 34 yards and 3 carries for 27 yards. And then Christian Watson, very middle of the pack. Sorry, Brian. 3 catches for 56 yards. And then Tucker Kraft, 2 catches for 34 yards. All of these guys are one's going to always outshine the other besides Josh Jacobs for obvious reasons. And that's why this receiving room is very just, I'm not sure what to do with it week in, week out. Everyone's going to probably rank Jaden Reed, and I always have Romeo Dobbs second. Brian probably has Christian Watson second, and then it just follows after that Dontavian Wicks for that. So, but Tucker Kraft is a tight end start I'm always going to have in there going forward. And then on to the Monday night games. Sam Darnold, if you're looking for a good matchup, be kind of disappointed, unfortunately. Bears do have a good secondary. 20 for 40, 231 yards and a touchdown and an interception. I think he was stopped twice at the 1 yard line each time for his catches I think it was Justin Jefferson. not mistaken. So he could have had 3 touchdowns. But Aaron Jones and Cam Akers, vulture the touchdowns on the 1 yard line. 18 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown for Aaron Jones with 2 catches and 20 yards. Cam Akers, 10 for 24 and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 7 for 73 and a touchdown. That's typically what you expect of Justin Jefferson, where you draft him in the top 5, top 10, wherever he was. Jordan Addison, he's coming on the scene, man. He's on a tear lately. Definitely somebody you're going to leave in your lineups. 7 catches and 63 yards. He's leaving. And then TJ Hawkinson, 552. Again, someone you're gonna start and not and not to worry about it. And then Chicago side, very bad game for Caleb. He's just struggling, and is it his fault? Is it not? I think the offensive line is piss poor. 18 for 31, 191 yards, a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 19 for 79 and a catch for 10 yards. Keenan Allen, 6 leads the pack here, 6 for 82 and a touchdown. But 13 targets is impressive. DJ Moore, 8 for 46, and then Rome with 2 and 39. This team is just, it's so awful. That's all I have, folks. Hope you guys like and subscribe for fantasy, for our channel. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. Hopefully answer them. But until next time, guys, see you later.